Hello there, thank you for signing up to this webinar. It's Andy Whitehead. Now very quickly I want to take you through an overview of what we're going to be doing on the webinar and why you need to be attending this on time. So the key thing in recruitment, the key thing we get told over and over and over time by our clients and our prospects is this. Andy, we're trying to differentiate our brand. We're seen as a commodity. Us and our other recruiters are seen as exactly the same. There's nothing different about us from our competition. We're outbound calling, it's killing us. We're cold calling, we're still doing things the old way, and it's just demoralising me and my team. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is we can't differentiate ourselves. There's a lack of differentiation in the market. So the solution is this. How do we actually differentiate our brands? Now we need to remember that we are in the sales industry. Recruiters, by nature, we're there to close deals. We're not there to just build these long antiquated funnels to get leads in. We're not there to actually build business in a way that's going to take a long time. We're there to actually eventually close sales, and the quicker we can get from A to B and close that sale, the better. But the problem is that lead generation process, getting doors open, is becoming tougher and tougher and tougher. The old days of cold calling, getting on the phone, it used to work, but it's getting tougher and tougher. The actual stats tell us now that 1 in 42 cold calls get through to a decision maker. In some cases, it's 4 in 250. So what we've been told this week by one of our by a lady in the recruitment trade in East Anglia in the UK. So the stats are getting worse and worse and worse, and our businesses are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and the output is getting tougher and tougher and tougher when we use these old ways of building business. So what's the solution? The solution is you need to be different from the rest of your competition. But let's keep in mind that you're in the sales industry, you're not in the marketing industry. So how do you get from being seen as a commodity, one of many recruiters, to be seen as perhaps a leader in your niche? Well, the key word here is leverage. You want to leverage. You haven't got the time to be going out there writing content, trying to influence these individuals by doing lots of fancy social media things and so forth. The key word is leverage. In your industry, there will be 10 people who are seen as leaders in your niche. There'll be 10 market Mavens, as we call them. A Maven is somebody who is a leader in any industry. So in your industry, say you're in the IT industry, there'll be 10 people in your industry who will be seen as leaders by your candidates, by your clients. Now these leaders will have massive influence on the market. They have massive influence. They may well be authors, they may well be speakers, they may well be blog writers, but let's say each of them has a following of 10,000. Now what we want to do is leverage your industry and leverage the key people of influence in your industry to endorse you and give you that positioning. And then what we want to do is create an automated framework whereby the leads come into your business. You're not outbound calling. So how do we do that? Well, let's start with you in the middle. So here's you, our hero. Now if we think around outside of you, we've got what we call, these are decision makers. These are largely going to be new clients, they're going to be HR directors, they're going to be business owners, they're going to be account managers, they're going to be potentially senior candidates. But these decision makers are the very people we're trying to get on the phone day in, day out. These are the very people we're sending LinkedIn messages to, and on the whole getting a very poor reply. Why? Because we're one of hundreds of recruiters doing exactly the same thing at exactly the same time. Every second Tuesday of the month, these decision makers know that Steve from ABC Recruiting is going to contact him. Because what are we doing? We're just making this outbound process. We're contacting decision makers in the vain hope that we're going to get a bite, in the vain hope we're going to get an appointment. Now historically in recruitment we do things 4 or 5 years behind other sales industries, and we're still doing things in the antiquated manner. So what we're going to do, now remember what I said, the key word is leverage. I want you to grow your business and get that position and create incoming leads quickly. So what we're going to do is leverage other people's positioning, contacts, content and so forth. So in any industry, as I mentioned, we have leaders. Now in this instance, they're called Mavens. Mavens are those who comment on an industry, those who have positioning, those who have a great following. So they may have a book, it could be an author, it could be someone with a huge Twitter following. Now what we're going to do is this. We want to get these Mavens to endorse us. Why is that? Well, this is the reason why. These decision makers, they see these Mavens as the celebrities of the niche. They look up to the Mavens. The Mavens are subject matter experts, so our decision makers look up to them. They may well go to trainings by them, they may well read their books, listen to their podcasts and so forth. They look up to the Mavens. So what we want to do is this. We want the Mavens to start endorsing us to the decision maker. So these Mavens will be endorsing us directly, maybe on the blogs, but our decision maker is going to start to read what these Mavens are saying about us. And how do we do that? We get aligned with them. We get aligned with them, so we offer something of value. In turn, what happens is this. Decision makers then start talking to each other about you. They start conversing with the Maven about what's happening, about you. Then in turn, the Maven will be aligned with us, and I'm going to take you through how we do that in a minute. But this is where the magic happens. The decision maker then sees you as the expert, and the decision maker starts to come to you. You create this inbound lead. And when you do make that outbound call to a decision maker, or you contact them via LinkedIn or so forth, you start to get replies, you start to get door openings. So the entire concept of what we've been doing in recruitment for years is turned on its head. You move from an outbound industry to an inbound industry. So how do we do this? Well, we get these Mavens on board. Now the Mavens come on board because we create something of value for the industry. So you find the biggest pain point for the industry, and then you have Mavens to discuss and comment on that pain point. Now very, very simply, it could be one of literally 100 plus things. But on the webinar, I'm going to show you how we can implement this strategy. We're going to go through 5 case studies and actually where this sort of thing can be applied. There's literally hundreds of different derivations of how you can dominate a niche and start to have recruitment decision makers coming to you. So on the webinar, make sure you turn up early. Make sure you get on the seat, you get on board 5 minutes early, because we tend to get oversubscribed for these. And what I want you to do, as you wake up each morning, I want you to think about your business and where you're going to be in the next 6 months. Do you want to consider, if things don't change, is it getting tougher for you the way things are? If you recognise that there is a time for change now, things need to change in your business, this webinar's for you. If you recognise that business is not enjoyable anymore and you want it to start to become more enjoyable, see, when you're the leader in your niche, it becomes a lot more enjoyable and you can charge higher prices. And when you go to bed each night, I want you to think about this before the webinar. Start to think what impact it would have on you. If, say, these Mavens, there's 10 Mavens in your niche and they've each got a following of 10,000. Now, if you can imagine that at the same time they're communicating to that entire 10,000 following for each of them has 100,000 candidates and clients in your niche. Imagine if they're contacting them, endorsing your brand, discussing your brand, or they're talking about an event you're doing with them, in alignment with them. So your brand goes from a standing start to having 100,000 clients, candidates being notified about you from the key decision makers in your business and your industry. How powerful would that be? So when you think about that as you go to bed at night, and just think what that would do to your business and how much easier it would make life for you. So with that said, make sure you save the webinar date to your calendar. Do arrive 5 minutes early. Suggest you print it off. Have it by your desk. You know how busy we get nowadays, because this really is going to open your eyes and say, I want to go through the 5 case studies, but we are oversubscribed, so do turn up 5 minutes early and we'll see you on the webinar. With that said, take care, take action, and I'll see you live on the webinar shortly.